Prime Minister, on the issue of the Kingdom Conference, is there any particular area of interest that St. Martin would have loved to address? And taking into consideration the fact that it takes so long to have a formation of government in the Netherlands, elections will take place sometime on November 22nd, and the elections of St. Martin, which is set for January 11th. How will the decisions of the Kingdom Conference taken then will meaningfully have an impact on St. Martin?
I am very happy with your interest in this. I can remember from the parliamentary days, my parliamentary days, seeing the impact of a Kingdom Conference, which is the IPCO, at Parliament level to discuss those high-level topics. I can remember back in 2018 having some very strong statements as to, our status within this kingdom. Now, having been here for the past 3.5, going on 4 years, having to deal with it on the ground level and seeing the challenges we face, of course, our status within the kingdom would be one of the things that we must address at that level. Of course, you need to have alignment at both ministerial and parliamentary level. So in that way, we must coordinate because the parliaments do meet twice per year and have these discussions. And we know, for instance, where the dispute regulation ended up, and it remains a story going wrong and wrong and wrong. The Rosie, as the school children would say, without any resolution, because it is what it is. We are what we are within the kingdom, and it's what we chose for. So I believe continued education of our population as to the reality of our situation, the pros, the cons. I've heard many others within Parliament call for referenda. Referenda take preparation and planning, so you don't have a rushed decision, an uninformed decision by the population. And so this Kingdom Conference can kind of lay the groundwork in terms of educating and ensuring that we're aligned at Parliament level and government level and with intention. We don't know yet what the new Dutch government will look like. And a lot of people on St. Martin don't understand how much Dutch politics impacts the manner in which the kingdom functions. So just depending on the plan of approach or the manner of approach of a particular state secretary or minister for kingdom relations can change things. I must say I've gained a bit of confidence having worked within other ministries as well within the kingdom. So especially as we do a lot of foreign relations work for United Nations and others, I see that there is, and with the apology and hopefully the education that should take place within the Netherlands, and awareness within their population, there will be a better understanding of who these islands are comprised of, the history behind it, and as a matter of fact, the obligations towards these islands from the Dutch government side. Too often the narrative is that these islands are wasting Dutch taxpayers' money. And like I stated back in 2018, until we can, for the record, ascertain what monies were made on the backs of these islands, we must put a halt to those types of discussions. In fact, within the United Nations, the discussion about former colonizers being actually responsible to ensure that their former colonies are up to date in their development is part of the transition to autonomy. So those are the discussions I would like to continue to have, especially when we have an IMF report coming out and talking about minimizing the debt to small island developing states such as we are. But because we're tied to the rich kingdom, sometimes we're not internationally seen as the same as Dominica, St. Kitts, and the others that are fully independent. So that awareness is growing within the international circles. We're growing our commitments and collaborations in the Caribbean region as well, which strengthens our position within the kingdom. Because if the Dutch government can see Antigua as a small island developing state requiring assistance and will assist in financing the SDG conference that will be held there next year, which we will attend, then they should be able to recognize the necessity to help St. Martin, Curacao, and Aruba along with the best as well. And I'm seeing a growing understanding for that. But Stephen, we will wait on the elections of November in the Netherlands to know what we'll be working with in the future, because that may change hopefully continue to progress in the right direction for the general well-being of the people of St. Martin and the rest of the Caribbean, Dutch Caribbean in general.
Aruba and Curacao both signed off the liquidity loan agreement for higher than previously proposed interest premiums with the Dutch government. Now, a lot of people say, oh, you see, they buckled. No, they didn't buckle. What they did was, if they didn't sign the document, the loan would have become immediately payable. And to prevent that, they signed, they're going to pay their higher loan, they're going to pay their higher interest, but they send a very clear message. A message that we are afraid to send. St. Martin is afraid to send that message. Aruba and Curacao wrote a letter to the Dutch government, to the second chamber, where they expressed their anger to the behavior and attitude of the Dutch government. Let us not make a mistake. The abuse of power, the divide and rule, the blunt retaliation, because you ain't do this, I doing this to you, because I have the power and might is right. Famous words from one of the boys in the NA benches. This is what's happening. Aruba and Curacao said, we don't care. You do what you gotta do, but we ain't going along with you no more. Our Dutch puppeteer signed the loan. If it was up to St. Martin, we would have been saddled with another 200 million guilders. And the generation amazing that I want to talk about next week in detail would not be generation amazing, but it would have been generation in debt. Because that's what our Dutch puppeteer wants to do. That's what his plan was. He jolted his signature on the INEA loan. Let nobody fool you. Van Huffelen said so. It's in the media. So again, clearly, and then you see the Prime Minister come and say, oh, we're going to go back and sit down on the table and see what we can do. Please stop talking nonsense, woman. Nobody worry about you no more. St. Martin is now in the CAS group a traitor. We betrayed Aruba and Curacao. That's how they see it. We went along with the Dutch and not stand with them. That's how they see us. So please, stop pretending. I agree, personally, that we should not have signed. We came with a proposal. Christopher Emmanuel made a proposal on the floor of Parliament how to solve this problem. But again, what can I say? Down the road, we're going to pay dearly for the behavior we just portrayed here.
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SXM account today and enter the virtual office of SXM. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
SXM, yeah. Your social health insurances.
During the hurricane season, a potential tropical cyclone can produce rainfall that can cause flash flooding and rockfalls. Stay away from flood-prone areas during heavy rainfall, such as Jump Up Casino on Emil Plain Road in Phillipsburg, ATLH Road Roundabout, L.B. Scott Road from Emilio Wilson Park until Cake House Supermarket, Zaker's Gut from Petro Plus gas station until the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Welchelaken Road K Hill from Welchelaken Road Roundabout until the One Tete Loke Roundabout, Beacon Hill Road from Sunset Bar and Grill until the beginning of White Sands Road, and Rhine Road, also known as Mullet Bay Road, after Sonesto Maho Beach Hotel to the entrance of Cooper Coy from the intersection of the University Drive until the intersection of Rio Grande. For more information on how you can keep yourself and your family safe this hurricane season, visit stmartingolf.org/hurricane. This public service announcement is brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
My final question for the Minister of Finance. Can you, Minister, give us an update on the proposal that was rejected by Curacao, the bailout of Enya? Where are we today, and what is St. Martin, the position of St. Martin government? I know you begin the discussions after the refusal from Curacao. I'd like to have an update on the status today.
The Enya solution, the technical committee of Enya is working on a possible outline for the runoff scenario. And we are going to be discussing between St. Martin Curacao and the Central Bank within short, and I'll keep you up to date on that situation.
Minister Irion, what is the policy, or is there any regulation towards prices of houses and mortgages? It's related to carbon again, that you have units of the same size that have different mortgages, some twice as much as the one next door, which exactly the same unit. Is this regulated? Can anyone just put a price on a house, or what is it with the value of houses and what the bank can loan?
I'm going to speak off of my experience. I don't think we have a law, and we have appraisals are done. And price of houses go based on demand, right? So demand determines price. Appraisals are done, and at times sellers want more than an appraisal. And I know then at times banks would say, look, we're going to do market value, and anything above, you have to cover yourself. So again, price is determined by demand. Banks cover mainly, and also different banks do different proposals. I know PSB does it different. Some do auction value, some do market value, so all these things matter. But again, typically banks cover based on their policy, and everything above, the buyer then covers themselves.
Let's say, Valerie, we estimate about $200 per square meter. You're talking about 2.2 million. Now, based on that, you get an evaluation of the total Mulberry property of, I think, 50-something million. But you know that's not the target valuation that they want for Mulberry, of course. So I did some calculation, and to get the amount that they want, with almost $500 million, they would have to sell the Mulberry property for at least $750,000 per square meter. So this means this little 11,000.
That even scratch the surface.
Exactly. And what are we doing? We're comparing cats and dogs, basically. So I think they're testing the market. And why do I believe that? Is because in the ad, it specifically has the term that the seller can cancel the sale at any given moment without giving any reason. And that's one of the terms of conditions in the RFP, the request for proposal. So, you know, they're inviting potential buyers to make offers. Now, right next door, it's literally behind the 14 towers.
Okay.
So between the American University and the 14 towers, that empty lot is what is now being put up for sale. It's a good location because on the other side, you have the casino property of
Francesco Corallo.
the casino owner,
Stars.
and you have the 14, you have AOC. Now let's say one of those three make a bid and they start to outbid each other. If they're lucky, Valerie, they might go up to about $300 per square meter. I am not a real estate agent, I'm not an expert in real estate, so you probably would have to interview a local expert. I got a name for you just in case.
I got a name.
I got a name.
AJ?
So, you know, at the end of the day, they're testing the market. And I think based on that, they can get an indication of what the rest of Muller Bay is worth. Because ultimately, it has to go back to courts. The evaluation of the Muller Bay property given by two independent appraisers. Now, I don't see in how, in any form or fashion, they will be able to reach an evaluation that is based on around $750 dollars per square meter.
Let's talk about, someone suggested, why don't they sell 14?
Why did they sell?
Why don't they sell 14? Instead of the property, why don't they sell that property? It's got to be worth more, you know.
But that's the question. How did they get that piece of property? Was that Muller Bay
Because
property?
that is
Was
Mr. Ansari's grandson, from what I understand, that built that.
You see, well, that's a good indication right there. So, based, how much did they sell that for? What is the arrangement there? Is it being leased? Is it being sold? You know, these are the questions that...
Because Area 14 is on Muller Bay's property.
That's what I figured, because that's the location. When I look at the main brief and the plattegrond, the layout, it's right in the heart,
I thought
at
as
the
soon
edge,
as
of
you
course.
enter Cooper Coy, that's where Muller Bay ends and Cooper Coy started. But I was told no. That property, that 14, belongs to Ansari's grandson.
Yeah.
And that's why he built that
well, I'll have to go down to the
restaurant
cadastre to do my little investigation. I hope they don't put me on camera, record me, because nowadays, you know, that what they're saying.
They could sell, someone also said that they could sell the 14 towers as well as the towers at Muller Bay. But that is still, I don't know if it's still operational, but it's still standing.
Well, that's what they excuse what they said, why they put the ad out to sell that piece of lot, is to raise cash so that the Sun Resorts can fulfill their financial obligations.
Obligations?
Yeah, so,
to who?
But I don't think that's the real reason. The real reason is to find out what is the proper valuation for Muller Bay and take it from there.
Because, you know, he overinflated it, so he thinks it's worth so much more, and it's not.
But let's say, worst case scenario indeed, that it's starting to sell off. Then they might sell off 14, they might sell off the tower, they might sell off this.
This piece that is available now,
There we go. There we go. Literally selling off one of St. Martin prime properties and basically the pearl of the Caribbean where that is concerned. And right under our noses, Valerie.
Yeah, and someone also said that when it comes to the buying, maybe he will put one of his cronies to buy it, and
that's
then
always,
he still retains it.
That's always the risk in these situations, indeed.
And then we were asking, why doesn't government buy it?
Exactly. But that has been one of the proposals on the table for years. I always propose...
Every party, every election, the parties, we've got the golden key to Muller Bay, and we're going to start an investigation on Muller Bay, and they're going to do this and that and the other, and Muller Bay is still there.
But at the end of the day, you know, this is the problem that we have in this country. You know, to do anything of that nature, on the one hand, requires money. On the other hand, it requires a partnership, a joint partnership, maybe a public-private partnership, where you get like entities like the APS, SZV involved as well. Maybe a couple of government-owned companies. Well, back in the day, they had money. Nowadays, one of them brooks. That's another different topic there. But government, these entities like APS, SZV, and the public. You know, you'll be surprised how much money you can raise from the public if they really do venture into a deal like this. You know, you offer the public a good return on their investment. I'm sure there are a lot of private investors that would come up with the money to get involved. And at the end of the day, I personally believe what they should do is indeed buy back the property and get a international brand. We've discussed this before in the
Yep.
past. Get an international, well-known brand,
Yep.
and let them develop the property and run a resort that is will be fitting for that area with the golf course and the surrounding nature, the pond, the mullet pond, all those good stuff, and create a nice resort that people can really come to St. Martin to enjoy, like back in the old days.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurances.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Here are a few tips to keep in mind to help keep you and your family safe. The Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th, with the peak occurring between mid-August and late October. This hurricane season, be sure to put together a go bag. A disaster supply kit including a flashlight, batteries, cash, first aid and supplies, medications, and copies of your critical information if you need to evacuate. This public service announcement was brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
In its relative new constitutional status as a constituent state of the Kingdom of the Netherlands, we need to reflect on our journey so far, so we can do better in the future and have a better legacy for posterity or future generation collectively. What is electoral reform? Electoral reform is about making changes in the election system. Changes that will address disturbing factors and enhance the election process. In this regard, any consideration for electoral reforms should be motivated by positive changes in the election process or ordinances in order to promote greater democracy, prohibit criminalization of politics, choose ideal members in the legislative chamber or parliament, stop the misuse of government machinery, equal representation, etc. Needless to say, some of these disturbing factors have generated a debate for electoral reform in St. Martin, producing several democratic deficiencies which have been clearly demonstrated over the last 13 years. And these disturbing factors that has been basically demonstrated: one, the makeup of parliament that doesn't represent the will of the electorate. Two, the vote for a person who vote for one party has a different value in terms of representation to one who votes for another party. Three, the system encourages fragmentation in our party list, proportional representation party list system. Four, the system fosters encouragement for persons to misuse the government machinery, that is, purposely, after being elected as a member of parliament, selecting to become a minister, thus giving them the advantage to be re-elected by presenting to the electorate things that they have done for the community. An option that is otherwise not available to other competing candidates. In effect, the deficiency alters the voting results.